class. I have a question for you. Have you ever been really cold? Yes? Tell me about that. Wow, that is really cold. Who else? Yes, tell me about being really cold. Good. Here's another question. Have you ever been really happy or really angry? Raise your hand if you have. All of you? I thought maybe so. Who would like to tell us about the really happy? Good, go ahead. Thanks for sharing that story. Can someone tell us about a time they felt really angry? Yes, go ahead. Oh, wow, I could see why you felt so angry. Today's lesson will be a continuation of the figurative language unit we've been working on that includes yesterday's idioms lesson. Who can tell me what I mean by figurative language? Okay, go ahead. Yes, figurative language is using words in creative ways to help make meaning clear. Yesterday, we talked about idioms. What are idioms again? Good, yes, idioms are groups of words whose meaning is something different than when you look at the words separately. Can someone give me an example? Good, thank you. Yes, hit the hay is an example of an idiom. And what does it mean? Yes, it means to go to bed. Good. Can someone give me another example? Yes? Yes, a piece of cake is another example. What does it mean? Yes, good. It means something is easy. Now, today's objectives are about another form of figurative language called similes. Your goal is to be able to define similes and understand why they are used. You should also be able to identify similes in literature and then be able to use similes in your own writing. Earlier, we talked about how cold you felt or how angry or happy. When I asked you to share exactly how you felt, you said you felt like ice or you felt like a raging monster inside. What you did was to compare two things to help the listener understand. These kinds of comparisons really help make pictures in people's heads and help the writer or speaker make sure their audience understands. Does everyone understand why it's important to create clear pictures in people's minds when you're writing and speaking? Good. Let's look at the definition of simile. A simile is a comparison of two unlike things that use the words like or as. An example, her skin was as cold as ice, and the dog was shaking like a leaf. Now, why would I say her skin was as cold as ice instead of just saying her skin was cold? Does everyone get the same picture of cold in their minds when I say her skin was cold? No? Maybe? How about ice? Does everyone pretty much have the same image in their heads about how ice feels? Yes? Then that's a good comparison to make because it gives everyone the same feeling to compare her skin to. Now we really know how cold her skin is. What about the dog? Why can't I just say the dog was shaking? I can, yes, but why would I say the dog is shaking like a leaf? Okay, that's good. We all have seen leaves shake. Dogs can have different levels of shaking, and comparing it to the leaf makes us see just how hard the dog was shaking. Good. So that comparison helps create the right picture in people's minds. Now I want you to tell me some similes. It can be as cold as, or as angry as, or as busy as, or flat like? Anything you want. Go ahead. Yes, good. How about another one? Flat like a rock? What kind of picture does that bring up in everybody's mind? Can everyone picture the same kind of rock? Is every rock flat? What can we do to make that picture more clear in people's minds? Flat like a skipping stone, maybe? Or flat like a pancake or tortilla? That's good. Let's hear a few more. Okay, now I want to take a look at some famous similes in literature. Look at this projection on the wall. This is a poem called Mary Had a Little Lamb. Raise your hand if you've heard of this nursery rhyme. A few of you. Okay. This is a children's nursery rhyme in English. The first verse has a simile in it. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. Can you see the simile? As white as snow. Good. Now, what is as white as snow? Fleece. That's right. What is fleece? Who knows? Yes, it's the wool on the lamb, the hair or the fur. The lamb's coat is called a fleece. So the fleece is as white as snow. Can you picture this little lamb now in your head? Yes? Good. What does it look like? Is it brown? No. Is it dirty? How do you know it's not dirty? Oh yes, white fleece would be clean or else it wouldn't be white. Okay, a nursery rhyme is a piece of literature. It's a poem for children. Now we're going to look at a different piece of literature. This is a copy of another poem, but it's written by a famous American poet, Langston Hughes. The title of the poem is called Harlem. That's a neighborhood in New York City with a large black community in the 1920s and the 1930s. That's when Langston Hughes wrote this poem. It's about a dream deferred. What does deferred mean? Does anyone know? No? Well, deferred means to put off to another time. The first line in this poem is, what happens to a dream deferred? The whole poem is trying to answer that question. So what's the question? Okay, it's asking what happens if you put off your dream? Let's see what Langston Hughes goes on to say about that. I'm going to read the poem once through, and then we'll see if we need to clarify anything. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? What words do we need to clarify? Fester? Fester means to get infected or go bad. If you get a cut, but leave it full of dirt and germs, it will start to get infected and grow and put out yellow pus. That's fester. A sore, in this case, is a cut or some sort of damage to the skin. A raisin is a sun-dried grape. It's small and dark brown. Any more? Okay, we're going to read it through again. This time, I want you to underline anything you think is a simile. Remember that similes are comparisons using like or as.